welcome everyone into our webinar today. Very glad that you've been able to join us. Just to go over a few little slides here, introductory slides. Today's topic is create your irresistible, compelling offer that cannot be refused. And what Mark's going to cover today are, he's going to help you discover the essential elements of a clear, compelling offer. You're going to learn how to attract attention with your messaging, how to distinguish yourself from your competition, how you can fulfill an industry gap, and motivate your prospects to act now. When? Now. So a little intro about your hostess and our guest here. So I am Jamie Skoltedi, and my company is upscaleyourbusiness.com. For those of you who don't know me, I specialize in helping professional coaches and consultants to systematize their business, maximize visibility, and attract ideal clients. My website is upscaleyourbusiness.com. And Mark Canty is my special guest. He is a coach for coaches. His company, Release Dynamics, is dedicated to helping coaches and consultants release their full potential by applying practical business and marketing strategies. And how would your life be different in the next 90 days if you could, and I just can't see the bottom of the slide, if you could attract the kind of clients that you want at the rate that you want them. And Mark's website is releasedynamics.com. And also stay until the end. We've got, for those of you who are not currently members of our free membership program, Upscale Success Strategies, you can join us and stay until the end. We're going to give you a special link that will connect you with it. And you'll be able to access all of our past and our future webinars, our monthly live implementation call where Mark and I will help you diagnose and fix some problems that may be in your business that you may not even be aware of. We give you bonus resources like worksheets, guidebooks, and some valuable free services. So again, stay until the end and I will wrap up. This is my last slide. I'll go ahead and stop my share and I'll let Mark load up his presentation. And again, welcome everybody.
Okay, and I am going to.
Oh, and one other thing while Mark is prepping here, feel free to find the chat. Feel free to post your comments, your questions. I know Mark likes a little interactivity, so he's going to ask you for your feedback as we go along and ask you for some questions and comments and welcome you to do that. And I will be monitoring the chat and I will respond privately or publicly if so warranted. So with that, Mark, welcome. Thank you for being here to present.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jamie. And yeah, let's begin with a little interaction. So as those of you who have participated in the past on the webinars that we do, we've got this little quick shortcut, which is, if you agree with something, instead of typing Y or yes, just type the number 1. And if you want to say no, then type the number 2. So I'm going to ask you the first question, which is, can you see the slides all right? Can you see 3 amazing looking, excited, enthusiastic people here? So if you could just click 1, that would be great. And also by clicking 1 too, it gives you an opportunity to find the chat bar, which may be hidden, and have a search around your page. It should be up in the top right-hand corner. And that way, if you have a question, go ahead and pop it in. Jamie and I love doing this together. And one of the things that is really helpful is Jamie will kind of gather up questions and then find an appropriate time to to surface those so that we can keep this interactive and engaging and make sure that that happens. So without further ado, let's talk about your irresistible, compelling offer, or how to make an offer that cannot be refused. And as Jamie said, my name is Mark Canty, and I am looking forward to taking you on this journey and giving you some skills and some tools to bring this forward. So first, let's talk about this. What is making something irresistible? Well, think about this, and I love the definition. It's too attractive and tempting to be resisted. He found the delicious looking cakes irresistible. Synonyms would be tempting, enticing, alluring, inviting, seductive. How about too powerful or convincing to be resisted? She felt an irresistible urge to object. Or how about this? She felt an irresistible urge to call you, to make contact. to reach out and ask for your help. And the synonyms are uncontrollable, overwhelming, overpowering, compelling, compulsive, besetting, irrepressible, and ungovernable. Wow. So wouldn't it be cool to have messaging and have being able to reach out there with an offer that encapsulated these things? And that's the objective. That's what we want to do, because there's a lot of noise out there, and it's getting noisier. And therefore, to cut through the noise, or some people refer to as clutter, we have to make something that's really strong and literally irresistible if we're going to break through and actually reach the people that we want to reach. So there's three elements to get totally clear on when it comes to putting your compelling offer together, your irresistible compelling offer together. One is you want to focus on what exactly do you want to offer. You need to have real clarity on this, on what you're offering the world. What are you promising to deliver? What's the outcome, the benefit, the result that somebody's going to get when they choose to work with you? It's really important to be clear on that. Second would be choose who will you do that for. Be very, very specific. Who are you ideally suited to serve? Who can you make that promise to? Seth Godin talks about the minimum viable audience. I've got a link in here to that article, and maybe I'll just click on it here quickly and see if it actually works. It does. It works. There you go. I'm not going to go ahead and read this, but I would encourage you to have a look at Seth's blog. He's got some great stuff here. So go to Seth's .blog, and you can search out the minimum viable audience. Subscribe to his feed. He sends out a note every day, and they're gems. They're real gems. So I would encourage you to do that. But just briefly here, I'm not going to read, as I said, the whole thing, but the minimum viable audience, the smallest group that could possibly sustain your work. That's really, really important. And for many people that I talk to, and I know many people on the call, that almost seems counterintuitive, because we're trained to think that bigger is better. We're trained to think that if we go after everyone, then we'll get a few. And the opposite is in fact true. Right, Jamie? We've had many discussions around this.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. That we want to hone in on the smallest possible group that's going to sustain you and sustain your business. So what is that for you? What does that look like? 3, design. How will you get them what you promise? So do you have a core program? And it's important here. I had a great discussion about a week ago with one of my coaching clients, and we were discussing the idea that you don't want to be too rigid here. So you don't want to have a core program that's so specific, so detailed, that you start to lose track of who you're doing it for. So what I mean by that at this stage of the game is design a program in an outline format. So know where you're going to take people, but realize that there may be certain areas where you have to spend a little more time or a little less time. You may go off to enjoy the sights. Think of it as a journey. You're going to take the customer on a journey to the destination. But sometimes when you're driving along the road, you see a rainbow and you need to stop and take a picture of it. Or maybe there's an opportunity to take a little side trip. You're still en route, but you want to stop to see that waterfall. That's what I mean by being flexible with your design. So have your core program, but don't have it so rigid that you're what I call shoulding on people. Once you find yourself using that kind of language, should, ought, must, then you're building rigidity into what you do, and you're actually going to repel people instead of compel them to take action. So how are you uniquely suited to solving your customers' conflict and to fulfilling your promise? Very, very important items to think about. So when we look at advertising, I love this. And this is actually, an old cartoon that I picked up from an old mentor of mine, and it goes back. But do you deserve a punch in the face? And what I mean by that is if you talk to people the way advertising or your advertising talk to people, they punch you in the face. Are you guilty of that? You may or may not be, but what I do know is I see a lot of it, and we all see a lot of it every day, is there's so much offensive, what I would deem to be offensive marketing out there. And it's not even marketing, it's advertising, where people are just pushing and pushing and pushing and shoving and just getting in your face with obnoxious messages that have nothing to do with us and are all about them. And you really just feel like reaching through the screen and punching them in the face. So you want to do the opposite of that, don't you? How can you be irresistible? How can you compel somebody to take action if you're creating this kind of space? So this is an opposite of what we want to do. And one of the challenges we have with that, and this is going to get into, this is really an element in your messaging, in your core offer, and how you come up with that compelling offer, is be very, very careful that you're not telling people that they have to do more in order to get what they want. So I love this, since when is more the solution to having too much? And yet, isn't there a lot of marketing out there that says, oh, you need this, and then you need that, and you need more of this, and we keep piling up, we keep filling up the virtual bookshelf on our computer with DIY courses and everything else that we never get to, because we've already got too much. So it's not a matter of, in today's world, of people seeking out information that is totally unique and something they've never heard of before. The fact is, we're now in a new paradigm where what people are searching out is the right information, or that one piece of information that's going to get them the outcome that they're looking for. Okay, so they probably already know more about many of these topics than we do in our particular discipline. So our job is helping them get focused and to stay the course and to get what they want. So what do you offer? Let's kind of break this down element by element. So we're gonna talk a little bit about what you offer, and we're gonna talk about the who, and then we're gonna pull all this together, and we're gonna do an exercise at the end, by the way. So stick around for the practical part where we pull all this information and we kind of play together towards the end of the webinar here. But first, I wanna dump some information on you. So this is a great quote. In this attention deficit world, you need a never-ending, tightly focused marketing strategy that positions you as the expert in an area you are deeply passionate about and competent to fulfill a promise. So there's a lot in here, and I've highlighted some of these things, but I come back to the idea of what I was saying before about noise and clutter in the world. That's the attention deficit world. Everybody has ADHD these days, and we have to recognize that we need to break through that. And that's why it's so important to have something that's clear and concise and irresistible and compelling, so that we break that through that cycle and we catch somebody's attention. The other word, the next word or phrase that I've put here is marketing strategy. It's not a matter of just having one magic bullet. It's not a matter of just having one ad that you throw out there, or one message that you throw out there, and that you hope will get the response that you're looking for. I'm going to ask a question here. How many people, give me a one, if you've heard of the rule of 7? Has anybody heard of the rule of 7?
We're getting a 1 and we have a no.
Okay.
I have neither, so I'm going to go with a no on that too.
Okay, so we've got some 1s and some 2s coming in, some yeses and some nos. Right. So the rule of 7 is actually, I found it and then I lost it, full disclosure here, a while ago. It's actually an old article that was written, I think, in the 70s or 80s. Actually, Sandy, who's on the call right now, might even know better than I, or might even be able to send me this. But it was an article that was written about the concept of sales, and in particular, salespeople who make it or break it. And what it said is the most successful people, the 20%, the cream of the crop, were salespeople that actually attended to prospects 7 or more times. So that rule of 7 became, in his article, he explains the idea that when you touch people, or you reach out, or you follow up 7 or more times, that's when you're getting into that successful realm. And that's what we mean, and what I mean by a marketing strategy is, we, in our ADHD world, we get caught in it too, where we just jump and we think one thing will get the result we're looking for. But sometimes we need to slow down in order to speed up. And what I mean by that is this idea of touching people or reaching out a minimum of 7 times, so that you're following up with a variety of different messages from different media that are going to put people into the loop with you and have them build awareness. So that idea of building a strategy instead of looking for a magic pill or a magic bullet. The other words that I've done here is expert, deeply passionate, competent. These are things that I know they may seem and obvious to many people, but we really need to think about these things and say, where am I really, really competent? Where are my strengths, and how can I bring those to bear? Because that's where your passion is going to come from, is when you are working through your strengths, and when you are working with what you know and what you're competent in, what you've developed skill and expertise around. So it's really important to do that. And that's also going to set you up to be the best person to follow through on the promise that you make. So, faking it doesn't work. You get caught if you do fake it. So let's talk a little bit more about the who here, and then we're going to transition, the who being you, and your offer and you. But this graphic, I think, pulls this together quite well in terms of understanding your passions and your core competencies and your skills and your strengths. So we want to combine these things together. And this is where the offer is going to really sing, is when you have all of these elements coming together. So finding what you love, what you're passionate about, finding what you do well, where you have core competency, finding what the world needs. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So that's when we get into the audience and really understanding them. And also, obviously, finding what the world will pay for. So they may need it, but do they value it enough that they're going to pay for it? And in most cases, if you position it correctly and you've identified it correctly, then yes, they will pay for that. So the center of all of this, in this particular graphic, says bliss. To me, the center of this is also where your offer lies. And when you pull all these things together in your messaging, this is the sweet spot, if you will, where everything comes together. So who do you offer? Well, I got to tell you, you need to make this transition. Sometimes, I wrote this story once a while ago about, when we're going into business for ourselves, when we're looking at that, it's all about us. And it needs to be about us, because that's where we're drawing on our passions and what's stirring inside of us. And we're looking at the life experience and the skills and the competencies that we've developed together. And they're bubbling to the surface, where we say, I just have to share this with the world. I have to get this out there to the world. I want to serve people. I want to help people. I want to make money. I want to be successful at what I'm doing. When that bubbles to the surface and you first reach out into the world, it's important to realize that there's a critical point where you're making a transition to being all about you to all about them. And that is really, really important, because we all know, we've all come across, say, you might even call it the classic salesman that we stereotypically think about, who's just pushing and shoving and dumping things on us instead of asking us what we want, instead of even having a clear understanding of what we want. So it's important to make that distinction and realize, once you pull it together and you realize what you're offering, there's a second part to this equation, and you need to take off that hat and put on another hat. And that is finding out all about your audience. Who is it that you're going to be approaching? What are you going to be talking to them about? And more importantly, how can you know them so intimately that in many ways you know more about them than they know about themselves? You know more about their needs and their wants and their values and what is going to take them to the next level than they even know. And that's a critical juncture too, because when you know that and they don't, you become someone of service. If they knew it, then they wouldn't need you. So you're the connector. You're the one that brings that together for them. So where do we begin? Well, we begin with the audience and understanding what needs are not being satisfied. So you need to pick the audience and look at them and say, what needs do they have? What wants do they have? What's going on in their world that they're being unfulfilled? And is it possible to satisfy? Maybe there are needs that are being met, but they're not being met as well as you could meet them. So that's another opportunity here. So is it possible to satisfy needs in a better way than what is currently being offered? And we see that happen all the time. That's where innovation comes in. And sometimes it's just a matter of a small tweak, doing something a little better. This is another thing that may seem uncomfortable or counterintuitive. Many times I have this conversation where people get stuck thinking they have to be 100% unique. In other words, they have to, discover the unicorn before they can possibly go out there and share it with the world. And also people that get scared or withdraw when they find out somebody else is offering something similar or what they're offering. And they go, oh, well, then I can't be in business anymore. Where would we be with all of the offerings that we have in the world Competition, in fact, and looking at what the world is and where things are being satisfied is one of the ways to know that there's a market there. That comes back to the circle again. What are people willing to pay for? If you're trying to come up with something that's so unique that nobody's done it before, people might not be willing to pay for it. If you go into an area where there's lots of things going on, there's lots of offers going on in your space, then aha, now you know a market exists. So all you need to do is refine, bring your uniqueness to the table so that you can satisfy needs in a better way than what is currently being offered, in a way that's unique to your particular audience that maybe somebody is not doing. And this is really, really important. This is very, very key, because most people think, well, if I go out there, particularly if you're a coach or a consultant, and I'm assuming most people on this call are, is most people come to this field and they've been trained and taught this. And they've been taught to go, well, you are so skilled as a coach or a consultant that you can help anybody with any problem. And that is a problem, because you'll never build a business that way. Trying to be all things to all people is never going to allow you to develop a compelling offer. How can you do that? How can you look at the entire world and create a message that's going to appeal to everybody? You can't. So you have to get very, very specific on who you're going to want to work with. So an important thing here to draw out as well about understanding the needs and desires that are going on is look for needs that are rooted in conflict. In most cases, they are. They're rooted in a conflict where somebody either is stuck, they've got a goal, and they can't get there. They don't know what the next steps are, and they need your help to get to that next step, to break through and to move on so they can achieve their goal. Or they know where they're going, they know what their goal is, they know what their steps are, but they're stuck in the sense that they've got a problem and they need to solve that problem in order to get it out of the way so that they can continue on their journey. So that's a little side note on getting into and understanding where your prospects' needs are and really understanding them intimately. So once you've done that, once you dig in deeper, then you want to go deeper to connect the dots. So your offer, your uniqueness, what you're bringing to the world. And when I say your uniqueness, I mean and I say that deliberately, your uniqueness, not necessarily that what you're doing, your product, your service is the unicorn or the thing that's totally unique. But what makes it unique is you bringing yourself to it. So we can go into any restaurant that serves hamburgers. And it would be very easy to say, well, if one serves a hamburger, then we don't need any other hamburger restaurants. But is that reality? No. What makes us go to Burger King versus McDonald's or A&W or Wendy's is the unique spin that they put on basically something that's very simple, which is a hamburger. So what makes them unique is their brand, if you will, how they deliver the product, their unique competencies, and how they bring that to the table. The same is true for your business. So you need to understand where you're going to bring a prospect mentally and emotionally so your offer becomes a no-brainer, so that they can sense and feel and get excited about the outcome. Now, again, coming back, if you don't know what your audience really, 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 really wants, how can you possibly help them get there mentally and emotionally so that it becomes a no-brainer for them? So what is the ultimate outcome that your prospects are seeking to attain? And again, you have to be very focused here. You have to decide specifically on the audience that you're working with so that you can dig deep enough to find that emotional outcome that they want, okay? The second part of this is, what is life like wanting that outcome and not having it? So this is, some people in marketing might call it agitating the pain, but this is very important. There are two sides to this coin. Many people think that they can go out and really just promote the one side of the coin, but you need to bring to people's attention many times what they're missing by not getting there, by not doing it, by not achieving their goal. What are they missing in life? What's it like not having that goal attained? This is powerful when you can pull your messaging together and do these things. And then the third element is, what is the absolute least amount your client would need to do to get maximum payback? So think about that for a minute. If somebody is marketing a solution and they say, okay, we've got the ultimate solution here. You need to sign up for our program. It's going to take you 16 months, and you're going to have to be on every day for an hour and go through our program in order to get the outcome you're looking for. Versus somebody else that says the same outcome, but is willing to give it to you and provide it to you in a 10-point master plan checklist that you can work through at your own pace and get what you want at your own time and as quickly as you want. Which one's going to win on that equation? One or two? Probably two, because the least amount is what people are interested in. This kind of comes back to the ADHD in our society now. We need to find ways, and this is a way too that you can put a spin on and make things unique in terms of the way you offer to solve a problem, is how can you get there quickly? How can you trim away the fat? How can you get to the core element, the essential things that somebody needs in order to solve their problem or achieve their goal? Because if you're the one that can get them there quickly, easily, and in the least amount of steps as possible, then you're going to win in that scenario. Does that make sense, Jamie? Any comments or thoughts?
Yeah, one thing that I had written down in my notes here is sometimes your prospects aren't even aware. So I wrote down here, they don't even know that they have a need. But if you ask the right questions, you'll get them to realize something that it might not have been on their radar, but now that you've brought it up, I really could use your help.
Exactly.
Something. So the other thing I said is, point out where they might have a gap. Point it out to them. They may not even be aware of it. So that's a helpful tip too.
Yes. There's a model. Some speakers are often aware of this, or trainers. Some people aren't, but I'll share it with you very quickly. It's called the conscious competent model. And the conscious competence model goes where we start being unconsciously incompetent. So I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And we move through this model to the point of being unconsciously competent. So I don't even know that I know. I'll give you an example. We go to drive a car, and we've never driven a car before. So before we even get to the age of 16, or we're even at that level, we really don't care. It's not even in our realm of consciousness. We're unconsciously incompetent. We don't even know that we don't know how to drive a car because we're not 16 yet. We don't care. We're using a skateboard or a bike or whatever. But then we come to a level of awareness where we become consciously incompetent. And that's where we say, whoa, I'm going to be 16 soon, and I have no idea how to drive a car. So I'm now aware. It's in my realm of awareness. So maybe we get signed up for driver's ed, or dad or mom takes us out and is going to give their wisdom to us on how to drive a car. And we go through lessons and we start to practice and rehearse, and we do different things. Maybe we go up and down the driveway a few times. And now we become competent. We become consciously competent. So we're driving down there. We know that, oh, okay, I'm in the driveway. I got to put my foot on the brake before I put it into reverse. I need to look back before I back up. So we're thinking about every movement because we're consciously competent. And then we move to the road 10 years down the road. We're driving down the road to a friend's place. We don't remember if anybody ever said, when did you brake? When did you turn on your signal? When did you speed up? When did you slow down? You wouldn't have a clue because you were operating at a level of being unconscious, and yet you were competent. So that's that level of mastery at doing anything. So if you think about this from a marketing standpoint, and take this to the prospect or your customer standpoint, often the way we succeed as coaches and consultants and what we bring to the table is we help people move from being unconsciously incompetent to being consciously incompetent. That's where marketing comes in, bringing that level of awareness. And then through our skill as coaches and consultants, we bring them to the level of being consciously competent and hopefully unconsciously competent. Does that make sense?
Yes. And first of all, you must know that I've taken my 14-year-old son out twice for driving in the last 2 weeks. So it's funny that you'd bring that story up. But yeah, so you know that what I do in my marketing, and it's really shifted my business quite significantly, which is where when I consult with somebody, I offer them a free inbound marketing assessment. And all I really need is their website address. And then when we get on the call, I have already gone through their website, their blog, their LinkedIn profile. And when we get on the call, I come with did you know that this is a gap? Do you know that you could be doing this a little better? And like a lot of times I find their website isn't even on their LinkedIn profile, a very big mistake, but they don't even realize it's not there. When I point it out, they're like, oh, I wouldn't have known that, thank you for pointing it out. And then I say, okay, well, you can fix that on your own. And there's all these other things too that really could be improved upon. And then the light bulb goes on and I really need to work with you because you're conscious of the things that I'm not conscious of, and you know how to fix those things. So if you can kind of map that kind of a scenario onto your business, where can you point out the gaps for people that they may not even be aware of? I'm fortunate in that I get an online presence that I can review. If you're a coach, that may not be the thing, but where can you look to show them the problem, for lack of a better word?
Yes. And that's where, Jamie, thank you. That's a brilliant example. And it's an example that can apply to anybody. And it's a great question that you asked. This is really core to it, is thinking about that and finding many times what we want to do is we have this impulse to jump straight to the conscious competence. We want to tell everybody what they should know.
Right.
But we're gapping. We're making a huge gap here. So we need to take people where they are. We need to realize that they're unconsciously incompetent right now. They don't know what they don't know. So we need to meet them there and then raise their level of awareness. And that's where your offer can do just that. It can set off that light bulb.
Yeah.
That light bulb moment that says, hey, this is something that I wasn't aware of before. As Jamie just said, in the process of that, an interview, an initial meeting with somebody, a checklist, a survey, a questionnaire can often bring those things out where people come to a new level of awareness. Okay. Yes. So it's really important, though, that in your offer that makes it irresistible, you have to have language, you have to have things in there that are going to connect the dots for people, and realize that if you're messaging to them where they're unconsciously incompetent, they're not aware, you're going to miss them. They're not going to catch your messaging. And yet many people do that. So they go too far. They assume that people know what is wrong or what they don't know. So think about that in your messaging and in your offer. And as you're studying your audience, what is it that they know that they don't know? What is it they're consciously aware of that isn't working for them? That is the sweet spot in your messaging.
That's right. And then when you get them on a call, you can really, now where else can we trigger all of this? So yeah.
Yes. So now I'm going to turn it over. We're going to do some work here, some at-home work, and we're going to give you a few minutes to do this. So pull out your pad and paper, or open your little text message screen, whatever it is, your notebook on your screen there. And I'm going to take you through a formula. So this is the secret sauce, if you will, to developing your irresistible, compelling offer. And here's how it lays out. Is you start with my, and then the descriptive title. And that descriptive title is based on what you do well, your core competencies, your passions, your strengths. Okay, so what is it that you do? And describe that as a title to your program. The second step to this is then you want to connect that with an action statement like gets or gives or helps you or your, and then you want to address the audience. Okay, so my program gets, gives, helps you or your, be specific about the audience, to another connector, the benefit. So what is the specific benefit that somebody is going to receive from working with you? So take a few moments, leave this on the screen, and just start to make some notes around this. Do some drafts. And I encourage you, even if you're thinking, I have no idea, write it anyways. Nobody's going to quiz you on this, or nobody's going to ask you to hand this in. Although by all means, when we go to the next step, if anybody wants to volunteer, that would be great. You need to begin somewhere, and the way you begin is by drafting. Okay, so start with your draft. And this is also going to highlight for you where you need to do your homework and where you need to go deep, because this is not something that you can bang out in a 45-minute webinar. This is just telling you and giving you the outline for where you need to do your homework so that you can get really good at this. Okay, so take a few moments. Jamie, do we have a clock? Let's give everybody 2 minutes,
Okay.
and it'll be an agonizing 2 minutes for Jamie and I, because I'll shut up, and I'm going to shut up for 2 minutes. And if you could give us the countdown, Jamie, and let us know when we're at the 2 minute mark, and we're just going to go silent here. So please hang in there, do the work, be a participant, not a spectator.
When we come back, I want to make a comment about program also. I want to remember to do that. And if you're having any struggle with this at all, please put it in the chat and we'll see if we can help you out a little bit.
Yeah, if you have a question.
About another 30 seconds and then we'll continue on. Okay, that's about 2 minutes. So
Great, thank you. So before I carry on with kind of part 2 of this, please, Jamie, your comment.
Yeah, so one thing I wrote down too, because it took me a long time, but I created over the years that I've been in business, I created what I call my signature system. You called it a core program, so I kind of link those together.
Yeah.
And my system goes, it follows, I keep wanting to say the word anagram, but that's not the right word. It's where you take the first letter of, so my business is upscale your business. So I made 7 steps related to upscale.
An acrostic.
What is it called?
An acrostic.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's another word that I use for it. I can't think of it at the moment, but
there's another term for it too. Yeah.
Okay. So I take, the elements of each of there's steps within the upscale system that takes my clients from where they are now to where they want to be. And so it's kind of in a stepped format. So those of you who don't have a signature system or core program, think about what you could put together. It could be very much related to exactly what the transformation is that you take your clients through from where they are now to where they want to get to. So you can think of some kind of clever name for it, or as acrostic that Mark called it. I can't think of what the word is. It's in my head. But that might be something to also think about, is what you could fill into that descriptive title. What is that program? Mine is my upscale 7-step client attraction system. All right, we have a comment in the chat. So Howard says, my supplemental benefits company serves individuals, seniors, and businesses. Didn't finish. He said, providing gaps to cover what most benefits brokers don't offer.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. So great. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing, Howard. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. That's an example of putting together your offer in a way. We need to be clear. If you're not clear, then you're not ready to open your business yet. I mean, you really need to know what you're giving, what you're offering, who you're offering it to, and what they're going to get by buying. So, think about, I don't know, let's use a restaurant as an example again. Who's going to go if when you go, sometimes, I don't know, some towns do this. I know it's very common in Europe where there's tons of restaurants lined out on the what do they call them in Europe? I'm gapping on the name. The plazas.
Yeah.
And there might be 20 restaurants on the plaza, all outdoors. And they're selling you when you walk down the middle of the plaza. Hey, look at here. And what are they doing? They're saying, look at the amazing steaks we have today. They're just beautiful. And often they have the plates. They have sample plates right there. And they're showing you, what they're offering you. And they're describing it. They say, oh, you're going to have the best time. You're going to have the best service. And you're going to walk away, full and satisfied and satiated. So think about that, and then think you come across a guy next door and he's got some tables and chairs set out and he smiles at you and goes, so what are you offering? And he goes, well, food. Oh, okay. Anything specific? No, whatever. So, are you doing dinner? If you want it. Am I going to be hungry after I leave? I don't know. That's, depends on what you order. Who are you going to buy from? It seems ludicrous, doesn't it, that a restaurateur would do something like that. And yet how many businesses are out there doing just that? Right. And then that same restaurant example, and I'm just kind of winging it here, is then you say to the guy, well, I've got, my kids are coming here with my wife. Can my children come in? Can they eat here too? No, I don't think so. Oh, well, you don't have any signs up that say you're not kid friendly. You're not telling me anything about that. So does this person even understand their audience or who they're trying to sell to? We're vegetarian. Do you have vegetarian food? I don't know. We might be able to do something like that, but I'm not sure. So yet that's what everybody's doing, or the vast majority of people doing in their marketing and in their offers, is they're saying, hey, you know what? I'll do whatever you want. And I don't care who you are. Hopefully, you speak English and you got some money and you got a pulse. And often they don't even ask those questions. Do they need a computer to work with you? Do they need a telephone to work with you? These are things that many, many business people don't even think about, and yet they need to know ahead of time, because you've got to identify exactly who you're working with, what you're giving them, and what the outcome is that they're going to get. Yeah. And this comes back to and I really want to hit home, as I always do, on the specific part of the who. Because if you are trying to serve everybody and satisfy everybody in the marketplace, you just simply can't, because there's no program that can satisfy everybody, and you don't know the outcome. Everybody's outcome is different. So unless you have a select specific audience to work with, how can you possibly figure out what it is that they really need, want, and value? So obviously we did this.
One more comment from Howard here.
Yes.
And Howard, I do want to comment on, I like, you talked about that you fill in the gaps, basically, is what you've said here, what other benefits brokers don't offer. So that's what differentiates you. That's what sets you apart. That's great. I like, Mark commented on, it was really good. Now, Howard also goes on to say, he says, my problem is that I have 6 categories and 8 to 12 products. Don't know how to take it to the next step.
Okay. So what I would come back to I always come back to the audience. So one of the things that I noted, and I don't recall your offer specifically, and that's okay, but because I want to tell you what jumped out at me, and that's more important than memorizing it, is one of the things that I believe I heard you say was I work with, I think it was businesses and seniors or something. Correct me if
seniors and individuals.
Okay. So do you believe that the needs of companies, so sorry, was it businesses, seniors, and individuals?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you believe the needs of all 3 of those could be the same? I would suggest not. At least their perceived needs.
Right.
So what I would suggest
he says they do overlap.
So look for instead of, and again, this is one of those things where we have this tendency to go, I'm going to look where they all overlap, and then I can market to everybody at the same time. Instead, I would suggest going in the opposite direction. So look where they all overlap and go elsewhere. Because I'll tell you what, everybody else is doing that. And if you'll differentiate yourself by not going where they overlap. So go where they don't overlap. So seniors need what? And then figure out what they need and get very, very specific. And then even if you identify and say, I've got a variety of products and services that they need, I've identified 10, pick the one. What is the number one thing, the burning desire, the burning need, the burning issue, the burning concern that they have, and message to that. So put your offer together in such a way that said, I don't know, let's wing it here. My seniors insurance program gives people over the age of 65 peace of mind knowing that their funeral costs will be covered. Again, I'm just winging it. But if I identified that having their funeral costs covered was the number one concern, then I can make my messaging that specific. Okay, so go to where they don't overlap and create individual messaging, individual offers. Now, this is another thing that often people get into a challenge with, and I want to highlight this pitfall or booby trap, if you will, is that When you start to break this out, you'll realize that, wow, I am trying to deal with a number of audiences, with a number of outcomes, a number of benefits. And that's good to do that exercise. Go ahead and break those out. You may find in the end, you may go, holy cow, I've got 10 different programs for 10 different audiences that give 10 different outcomes. If you come to that point in your brainstorming and in your work, that is awesome. That's great work. That's what you need to do. Then what's important, unless you have a lot of resources, financial, time, and also labor, people to help you, pick one. Start with one, because we dilute our attention and we dilute ourselves when we start to go after 10 different, it's like birds in the bush. Instead, hey, we're chasing 10 different birds, and I'd rather have one in my hand. So therefore, go after the one. And sometimes it's a matter of flipping a coin, but usually your intuition, your gut, this comes back to your passions and your strengths, where you go, you know what, I work with these people because I think that they're going to give me a consistent paycheck. They're all right, or I hate it. But I'd really love to be working with these people.
Yeah.
Go for the ones you love. Like, figure out where you're passionate, because when you're passionate, that's where your business is going to thrive. It's going to explode, because that comes through non-verbally. It comes through in everything that you do. So let's kind of summarize again here. Go to where things don't overlap. That's where uniqueness lies. Okay. So go to where they don't overlap, identify and pull out all of your different audiences, and then all of their different wants, needs, and values, and then all of the ideal outcomes that they're looking for, so that you can do this for each one. Then select the one that floats your boat the most.
Yep.
Select the one that excites you the most and gets you pumped and ready to go. You may even need to spend a little time doing some meditation or thinking about, well, who is it that I really like to work with? Think back on your favorite clients. Yep. See, what are the different scenarios that I've had where I really just came away going, man, I love what I do when I worked with that person. That can help you identify who it is that's going to be your specific audience. Start with that audience. Just start there, no matter how hard it may seem to you to put all this other supposed opportunity aside, and just go after that one exciting, passionate audience, message, program, service, and become a specialist, become an expert in that field, and watch what happens.
Yep.
So,
and Howard looks like he's already starting to work on that, because what he's sharing here, he says his strongest offerings are for seniors and individuals and families. So then he says he'll restrict his small business offering to 2 unique products. So I think you're on the right track, Howard. Keep working at it.
Yep.
Nan also wanted to share. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mark.
When you get that resistance and you get that fear, when you go, oh, maybe, I've made it a little too tight, go tighter again.
Yeah.
Keep going down. Remember the Seth Godin thing that I showed, or the minimum viable audience.
Yeah.
And this comes back to, knowing your business, knowing what you do, knowing how many clients you need to get the, everybody's out there, I want to make $1 million. Do you really? If money's that important to you that you're willing to get, rid of everything else in your life, I'm going to be blunt here, go into porn, it's not about the making $1 million. It's about, what do I need to do to live the life I want to live, to be happy, to be comfortable, to have the lifestyle that I want, and figure out the number of clients you need to do that. And then this is going to help you realize, I don't need to be marketing to hundreds of thousands or millions of people, because I only need 20 regular clients, or 40 or 50 or whatever it is. And when you get really good at putting your offer together and your messaging and your communicating and your marketing strategy, then your closing goes up. Your ratios of converting prospects to buyers goes up. So all of a sudden, let's say you need 50 customers, and you're able to, because you're so good, your strategy is so good, your marketing is so good, that 1 out of every 2 will actually sign up with you. You only need to be marketing to 100 people at any given time. Isn't that a lot easier than marketing to 1 million and hoping that you're going to find 10, or that 10 or 50 or whatever will pop out? So that was my point. Sorry. Thank you.
And also, I'll just comment too, if your business is one that helps people either make money or save money, it becomes almost a no-brainer. People are always looking to make more money or save more money. That's just really the reality of it. And I think everybody on this call would agree that they're probably in one of those places in what they do for their clients. One more comment from Howard, and then I want to share Nan's statement. So Howard says, so do I blog to seniors and individuals separately? And then small businesses, or am I just disrupting or disturbing my brand? So I guess he's wondering, should I be marketing to all of those separately? Which I think the answer to that would be yes. And like Mark was saying, refine your message for each audience. There's no reason, I feel, maybe Mark wants to, dispute with me on this, but I don't think that you have to stop yourself from marketing to all of them if you do it all effectively, but you do want to specialize in something. And so what Mark was saying is, and maybe you'll say this again, Mark, to drive it home, maybe focus on one audience to start. And once you perfect how that goes, then maybe you transition all of that knowledge into the next audience. So I would pick your favorite, right? Who you love working with.
And often what happens is when you pick your favorite and what you're passionate about and you start drilling into that, then not only do you become the expert at it, but the business starts to get easier and starts to flow to you, where you realize, why was I even going after all those other people in the first place?
Right. Yes.
And I understand this is a difficult concept to get over. It's almost like an addiction. This idea that we need to be all things to all people and we need to go after as many people as possible. And it can be really painful and it can be really tough to cut that out, or like going on a diet. I'm going to cut out sugar or whatever. I'm going to cut all of these things that are bad for me. Your business needs to be the same thing. So your messaging, yes, you want to be communicating very directly, and think about it this way. And I'll come back to that slide I said about, most people advertise in such a way that I feel like punching them in the mouth, or however it was, or they deserve to get punched in the face the way they advertise. Is that when you're messaging and you're working with that unique audience, are you messaging them in such a way that they feel like punching you in the face? Or are you messaging and communicating with them in such a way that they're going, I really want to get to know you better. I like you. And the reason I like you is because you know me. You've taken the time to understand me. You know what is hurting me, or what I really, really want in my life, or this is what I'm afraid of. And you've taken the time to do that. So I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you. Are they going to look at you that way? Or are they going to go, oh, here's some other guy that's trying to sell me insurance?
Yeah, right.
And that's a critical distinction. And the only reason that you're not building friends and building relationships in your business is because you're thinking you need to go too big and you need to talk to a lot of people. You're coming from scarcity thinking, I need to talk to a lot in order to get a few. And it's just not true. So I hope that answers your question. Is yes. When you blog, when you communicate, and what's more important than blogging is getting blogs and commenting and getting dialogue and conversation going, getting engagement going, not just spewing on people, but writing your blogs in such a way that deal with it, talk about these issues that are near and dear to your audience. And knowing your audience, you're not going to bang this out after we finish this webinar and half an hour go, oh, I know them intimately, now I can go ahead and do it. It takes time. It takes study, and it takes experiment, and it takes testing, and it takes mistakes and tripping over yourself. But get out there and do it is the point.
Okay, I want to share Nan's because I think she might need some feedback on this. So she says, my fast track for coaches program, so she has what we would call a core program, helps new coaches build their businesses fast without burnout or analysis paralysis from perfection. Right.
Great. So love it. You're getting the challenges they're facing, the benefits are coming in. The one thing I would encourage you to do is, again, go deeper. What kind of coaches? And then
new coaches.
And get as specific as you can, and just prove me wrong. I challenge you to prove me wrong. So let's say you're going to go after coaches who work in the financial services industry. So they work with, insurance agents or financial planners or something. Let's say you were that specific. Try that, test that out, and then, prove to me that I'm wrong, that you fail, and that you can't find enough business there. So again, I would just challenge you to go deeper, go tighter and tighter and tighter. Coaches in Pennsylvania, coaches in New York City, do something to nail it down and get as specific as you can. Because I shared this with Jamie a while ago, because she was asking me a question about, and I can't remember what we were on about, but the point I made was, I said, okay, so if I put a message out there and I say, I'm going to help you because you're a human being, I'm going to get some response or no response, because everybody's going to identify with. I could go, I'm going to help all female human beings. And then you drill down further. I'm going to help all female human beings who live in New York State. I'm going to help all female human beings who live in New York State and are between the ages of 25 and 35. I'm going to help all female human beings who live in New York State who are coaches who are between the ages of 25 and 35 that love McDonald's. As I drill deeper and deeper and deeper in my messaging, then I'm going to get to a group of people, and maybe even to individual people, who raise their hand and go, wow, how did you know? If you're getting that kind of a response from people, or people are reaching out with you with that kind of messaging, that how did you know? How did you nail it? How did you realize that I was struggling with that particular issue? Then you brought your audience down tight enough. I hope that makes sense.
She says, I will be marketing to new coaches who are certified through Coach Training Alliance.
Love it. We're getting more specific. Now you're getting specific things that people can go, yeah, I'm one of those. I belong to that.
Yeah.
I love it. And just keep doing that and brainstorming those things. You may come up with, here's a challenge where you come up with 100 identifiers, that would be specific to a group, and figure out what those are and how you can then hone your messaging in such a way that you're reaching out to that particular group that they can identify with. And keep in mind that minimum viable audience. The smaller you go with that, the minimum viable audience, the more successful you'll be, and the easier your life will be. So think of that. So I love it. You're already drilling down, Nan. That's brilliant. Looking for that, because now you can target that. Now you can say, hey, do you belong to this group? Did you get your certification here? And when you do that, people are going to go, yeah. Hey, how did you know? Did you look at my website? Did we meet somewhere? Love it.
Yeah.
Keep drilling down.
Down a little further, just to say who are perfectionists. So that's good. You can use that in your marketing. You can use that throughout your website, all of that.
Brilliant. And again, and now the next part of this is really important. And thanks so much, Nan, because this is a great example. Is now validate your assumptions. Do the work. Get intimately acquainted with your prospective customers' needs, wants, and values. So using you as an example, and thank you for raising your hand and sharing that, is now you want to validate it and that and say, okay, I'm pretty sure, I think, I'm making this assumption that there are perfectionist coaches out there and that they're stuck. Try and validate that.
Yeah.
Okay, and I should remove the word try. Validate that. Yeah. Because it's possible to validate anything. And if you can get some evidence, and I'm not talking about a scientific report or anything, it could be as simple as a few comments. Maybe you get onto a forum, or you have some conversations, with some comments on LinkedIn or whatever, and you get that information where you go, aha, I'm on the right path. There are perfectionists out there, and I just validated it. Do that validation, because when you do the validation, then you move again out of that space of it's all about me to it's all about them. And now you have the confidence because you're bringing the two together. I know what I can do for people who are perfectionists. And I know that there's perfectionists out there that are struggling. They've told me so.
Yep.
Boom. That's that sweet spot. That's where the magic comes together. So,
and also, man, I would take it even further too, if we're digging deep into your messaging here. So you say you help them to build businesses fast. So what does that look like? Is it, you're helping them to, sort of set up their business licenses? What is it that you're doing? Are you helping them to market? Are you helping them to get more clients? Specifics on exactly what you do and helping them to build their business.
Yeah.
So,
My program, my Fast Start program for perfectionist coaches, will get you your first paying client is designed to get you your first paying client within 90 days. Or my 90-day coaching program for perfectionist coaches will get you your first paying client in 90 days. So, be bold.
yep.
Now I want to qualify that a little bit, because again, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about this who was a little concerned, going, "Oh, I don't know if I can make that promise." That's where you're meeting people where they are rather than where you want them to be. So you're attracting them. And then you qualify that statement. So when somebody comes to work with you, you're going to have one of two things going. You're going to either have a lot of things that are beyond your control, which means you can't guarantee that. You can't promise they're going to get that first client, but you can say, that's my goal. And if you do what I've outlined here, if we work together and you follow my instruction and we work together, I'm confident and I believe you're going to get that person. And in fact, I've done it with many other people. The alternative to that, you may have a system that's so tight that you can literally guarantee it. That you say, if you do these 10 steps and you don't balk me on any of them, then I guarantee you'll get the result. And there are many businesses out there that do have a program where they can guarantee results. And every time somebody fails to get the result, it's because they didn't follow the system. They didn't follow the recipe. Another great blog post, by the way, by Seth Godin from a week or so ago about following the recipe. Inevitably, they missed something. They left something out of the recipe. They chose to use whole wheat flour instead of white flour, or whatever it happens to be. They didn't follow your recipe. So you could fit into two categories. You might have so many uncontrollables in what you offer that you can't guarantee it. And I would suggest that as coaches and consultants, that's pretty common for most of us, is we can't guarantee people's behavior. There's just too many things that are uncontrollable. But there are some of us that do have programs that can say, hey, if you follow everything that I tell you, you will get the outcome that I'm promising you. So
yeah, I've seen those like money back guarantees. We'll give you your money back 100% if you can show us, the work that you did. Kind of thing. So then they can analyze where things went wrong.
And I'm a big believer in money back guarantees too. If you're confident in what you're doing and what you're prescribing and what you're putting out there, then saying, hey, if you're not completely satisfied, you're going to get your money back within a period of time. That's another way that you can do it too. But I don't want to digress into that's kind of getting off into certain, marketing techniques and ideas that really aren't the topic of this. We're happy to cover them in another webinar. But anyhow, hitting point again, validate your assumptions. Make sure you're always balancing the me and the we, the me and the they, the me and the them, and finding out, you're always wanting to tune in, find out where they're hanging out. Read those magazines, read the blog posts, read, what's going on their profile, read what they're commenting on, read their comments, read their articles,
join their
read, watch video, look at their marketing, look at what they're doing, if they're business, if you're B2B, and really get in touch with them and validate your assumptions. You'll be amazed at how much you're right, and it'll be very affirmative for you.
Yeah.
And you'll also be amazed at the little things that you discover, the hidden gems that pop out for you.
Yeah, you'll start to find those things that are like, I noticed that so many new coaches do X, Y, and Z, where they should be doing A, B, and C. So you'll start to see those patterns, and you can start to develop your marketing messaging from that.
Yes. One other quick point too on validation, and I know I've done this work with Jamie as well, and you'll see that we always send you feedback surveys. We always look for feedback. And that's another critical thing to build into your business. When I coach, in my coaching practice, when I work with people, every time we have a meeting, within 24 hours, they get an email that says, fill out this benchmark survey, because I want them first anchoring in what we've talked about. And second, I want their feedback on how things are going so that I can catch things. And that information becomes invaluable to me because it's affirming my assumptions. It's also giving me ahas and insights as to where people's challenges and issues are, where they might be struggling. So feedback, feedback, feedback. I can't remember. It's one of our first webinars. Go back and watch it, where we
Reputation marketing.
in upscale success strategies, and we talk about feedback as the breakfast of champions, building up surveys, and then also leveraging that as a marketing tool as well. So go back into the membership program and find that and watch that again. And I really, really encourage you to build that in. And of course, we can help you do that too.
Yeah, that webinar was called Your Reputation Matters. And by the way, I'll just give you a little plug. Mark does those surveys. His company offers that, and I have that set up through his company. So if you need, surveys, Mark's your guy. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So carrying on here. Now, once you come up with this, and you're going to come up with different renditions of it, then kind of take it through this testing process. And you know, it's okay when your goal is to just keep refining and refining and refining until, you know, the light bulb goes off. And it can take time, and it never ends, by the way, too, because the market changes, the needs change. But here are a few questions you want to think about. Is it a clear, compelling offer, or unique selling proposition is another? You know, sometimes we can use that as a switcheroo for offer, but that your prospect can't resist. Could any other consultant or coach or person in your line of business use this? Is it truly unique to you, your prospect, and your promise? Does this have power? Does it elicit emotion? If your prospect can't feel it and envision an end to their conflict after working with you, then it isn't irresistible. If what you write can be adopted by any other business without change, then all you have is a meaningless slogan. If it doesn't elicit a strong emotion, it won't have the power to compel your prospect to take action. So there are the questions to, you know, if you want to write those down or screenshot those, again, we'll have this posted in the membership area so that you can take your time and pause this or take a screen cap of it. But take your offer back and go through this and check it out, okay? And see if it fits this criteria. So to develop a truly irresistible, compelling offer, you need to invest time and become a student of the conflicts in your customer's world, the goals they can't attain, the problems standing in their way. When you design a process or a solution that is superior to your competitors and eliminates any negative side effects, you will have an irresistible, compelling offer that no one can refuse. So stop thinking in terms of what you do. You already know that. You've got that down pat. Believe me, it's all up here for all of you. And start thinking in terms of problems you solve and ways to help your customers get what they want in the fastest, easiest way possible. Do this, and your customers will be forever grateful. They will thank you and see you as an indispensable resource and a partner in their success.
Indeed.
Indeed. So let's wrap up here with one more thing. Oh, my animation is not working properly. There we go. Skipped. Okay, here's our little bonus for you. And that is a lifeline to help you identify your irresistible, compelling offer, a laser targeted audience that is right for you, messaging that you could use to promote it. So this is a one-on-one consult where I'll spend time. Jamie could spend time with you too on this. So you can sign up for this, where first of all, we get to know each other. I need to get to know you in order to help you, and you need to know what I do in order to feel comfortable of receiving that help. And I'll help you identify what you really, really want and how to get it. So there's no pitch, there's no obligation to do anything further, and there's no cost to this. This is something that Jamie and I do, and you'll notice it if you've been in the program a while, that we offer bonuses and things like this in everything that we do, because we generally want to get to know you and we want to help you. And if out of that comes the opportunity to work together, that's great. That's wonderful too. But that is not something that we're putting on the table as something you need to feel obligated to. So think about these things as I close up with my comments here, and then we'll open up for Q&A. We kind of went long. I rambled a little bit there. One is too small a number to achieve greatness. No accomplishment of real value has ever been achieved by a human being working alone. Those of you know John Maxwell, a great author. So there it is again. And my point here is you can choose to DIY or you can choose to seek and ask for help. And I want to encourage you, as always. Jamie and I are always amazed at the fact that the vast majority of people, all this information we put out, all of these offers that we put out to help for nothing, and how few people raise their hand and take us up on it. And to me, that what it does is it affirms the reason why so many people are struggling and failing. Is those who are succeeding and moving forward are the ones that raise their hand. Those are the ones that ask for help, because they don't view it as a sign of weakness. They view it as a sign of strength, of getting what they want. So it's evidence of courage, humility, and self-respect. So raise your hand, ask for help. No man or woman is an island unto themselves, and it's a sure recipe for business failure if you keep hanging around and sticking with yourself and not getting out there. So again, I don't want to beg you to sign up, but I want to encourage you that the more we work together, the more you ask for help, then the more successful you will become. And the more our program here and what we do will be successful in terms of building a community where we support each other and we grow together. So thanks for being part of this. Please give us feedback. We're going to be sending out that survey. You're going to get a link to it once we close down here. It'll pop up on your screen, and you're also going to get an email, and that's because we're serious. We want your feedback, and it doesn't matter how many webinars you attend. We want your feedback every single time. A good way to tell us that we're wasting your time and that what we provide does not have any value is not giving us feedback. That's an indication to Jamie and I that you don't care. If you want to pay us for the work that we're doing here, the way we take payment is through your feedback. And that's how highly we value it. So we can't wait to work with you further on the next webinar and to move forward on the implementation calls. I know we're running late, but fortunately, thank you, Sandy, for rescheduling, because I did have a 1 o'clock appointment, and I believe Sandy, he may still be on the call, but he was on the webinar today, and I thank you for that. I'll look forward to connecting with you tomorrow, but we'll wrap up here, and I'm happy to hang around, as I know Jamie is, to brainstorm or answer any questions that anyone has.
Yeah, and I just want to share, as I mentioned in the beginning, I've put this up. I think many of you that are on the call are already members of our program, but for those of you who might be watching the replay, join us. I put the offer in. I think you can see it in the chat, I believe. Mark, you should be able to see that.
I can see it on my screen, so everybody should be able to see the big join for free.
Yeah, anybody who's not a member, or if you want to grab the link, click on the link, grab it, and send it to a friend. We're offering it for free, so share that. And I really appreciate that you've hung in here with us. Even though we went long, we still have lots of people on the call. So I think this was a valuable webinar, Mark. I was really excited about it, and I got a lot from it too.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Bit of a plug. Don't sign up. Please make sure you're there for next month's webinar, because I'm pumped. We're gonna talk about how to automate some of your sales, and particularly how to. Sorry, do we have a title for that yet, Jamie?
Yes, I was actually in the middle of putting it together. Let me find it. Give me a second.
We're going to talk about the concept of passive income.
Yes. And it is going to be called. Oh, I think I might have. Hold on.
By all means, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and or comments, pop them in the chat.
It's going to be called Income on Autopilot: Scaling Your Online Business for Success. So you don't want to miss that.
And trust me, you're going to get some ahas and some surprises. I'm still working on the content for that webinar, but it's going to be a fun one. I'm pumped. I'm really excited to be doing that one.
So does anybody have any questions before we comments, questions? We've got, okay, Sandy said, thank you both. Nice work. Gotta go. Susan said, thank you. Nan said, thank you so much. Wow. Great bonus. Yes. Nan, sign up for that and have your discussion with Mark. He's going to be great and help you out. Beth, thank you. Susan, very good. Thank you. So we appreciate all the feedback, everybody. And I've put the feedback link in there, but you'll also be sent one as well. So however you want to do it is great. We appreciate it very much. It's a pleasure to be with all of you.
Jamie, forgive me, I've forgotten, but I know we have some things automated and some sequencing with this. So in order to get if they want that free consult where we'll work together with them, they get a follow-up email, or how do they sign up for that?
They get a form when they click on the link, and I'm sure, Nan, I assume that you have already. Nan, let me know if you haven't, and I'll put the link back up. They get directed to a form that they fill out their information. They say what bonus they want, which is the one bonus of speaking with you or myself. Nan should be speaking with you because I'm already working with her. But then they will get an email from me that says, Mark will be reaching out to you, and Mark, you'll get copied on that, and then you guys can connect.
Great. Yeah. I'd forgotten how people raise their hand and sign up so that we make that happen and make it easy for people. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. 15 minutes overdue. I appreciate everybody hanging around. And Jamie, it's always a pleasure. Sign of a good webinar is when we go over. Maybe. I don't know. You'll have to give me feedback on that. Mark, it's not too much. Yeah.
Sign of a good webinar is if we go over and people are still with us. That is kind of a good webinar.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye, everyone. And I'll look forward to our private time together and helping you move the needle to the next level for you.
Yep. All right. Very good. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye.